Let's get started. Cast on, knit, purl. That is it. I'm using a leftover yarn that I had just laying around and a basic knitting needle. For this, I'm using my bamboo size 8. You can use any needle that your pattern calls for, but in this demonstration, that's all you need. So you take your yarn and you put it over your fingers. Now again, make your fingers into a little pincher, place it over, place it over. Make sure that your long tail is over your pointy finger and the yarn that is placed on the ball is over your thumb. Take your needle, there it is. Put it under the yarn, pinch it with your finger to control it, and let's get started. Through the thumb, over the finger, through the thumb. Yay, you knitted your first 2 stitches. All right, let's keep going. Through the thumb, over the finger, through the thumb. Number 3, not bad. Let's keep going. Thumb, finger, thumb. Thumb, finger, thumb. And you're going to keep doing this for as long as the pattern dictates, or I would just take some yarn and just practice casting on and seeing how it goes. Now also remember not to pull too tightly. When you start knitting or start your first row, your project, you don't want to have a hard time putting your needle through. So make sure you don't pull too tightly right here like this with your thumb. All right, thumb, finger, thumb. Thumb, finger, thumb. Yay, and that's it. You've cast on. You can see the pattern right here. It's not too tight. I think it's pretty good. So we're ready to knit. All right, so we're going to knit our first row. I take the yarn that I use for a long tail cast on, and I just grab it like this to keep it out of the way. Some people knit it into their project, but I just keep it out the way. So first, you see these spaces? We're going to insert our needle in the first one. See how it's going like an X? You insert it from the front to the back. Take your yarn, your working yarn, and wrap it around. Make sure it's secure. Pull it through, take it off. Yay, you knitted your first stitch. Let's do it again. Put it through the front to the back, wrap the yarn around, and pull it through. Now make sure you notice the direction I'm wrapping the yarn around. Do it again. Push it through. And we're going to keep doing this for the whole row to get some first row knitting. See what I did? I split the yarn. Try not to do that. So take it out and redo it. All right. And push it through. We're knitting our first row. Simple. You are a beginner knitter. Push it through. Now I like to hold my yarn in this hand. I wrap it around. Some people hold it in their other hand. I like to hold it in my right. I actually crochet and I hold my yarn in my left hand. But for knitting, for some reason it feels weird in my left hand, and so I knit with my right hand. So you just hold the yarn and your needles the way that's comfortable for you. There's no right or wrong way. Just whatever is comfortable, and go from there. So let's finish up this row and through. Put the last one in, wrap it around, and you're done knitting your first row. Yay! You can see how the pattern's going, and pretty good. All right, so I knitted a few just so you can see the bumpy pattern. A lot of blankets are just knitting, keep on in the rows, and so it's really cool, easy pattern. So let's start with purling. Very, very similar. Instead of going from the front to the back like knitting, you're going to go over keep the yarn in the front and insert the needle in the front. Still an X, but it's through the front. See how I did that? Let's do it again. Right in the front. Now watch how I wrap this yarn, and I'm pushing it through my finger to the back, and I'm pulling it off. That is a purl stitch. Let's do it again. Through the front like an X. There we go. Wrap it around and push it through. You just purled your second stitch. Do it again. And push it through. Now when I was starting, I just bought a basic skein of yarn, and I sat there for several days and I just knitted and I purled. And I had a big practice square, and so you can see how tight you knit You can practice to make sure that each loop is uniform, because you don't want some that are tighter or some that are looser than others. And so you really can just play and see what your comfort level is. And so just get a practice ball yarn and start knitting and purling. So let's keep going. So we're purled a few down, pushed it through, insert it, wrap, push it through, take it off, insert it through the front. Again, the yarn is in the front. See that my yarn is in the front. Push it through. And last one. You've knitted and you purled. Wow. And that is it. That's the basics of knitting and purling. Easy, not hard. You can do it. So let's keep going and see how it turns out. All right, I did a few rows of knitting, remember, and I did a few rows of purl. And you can see the difference in pattern and stitch. And so you can really play around. A lot of patterns are just knit and just purl. And you can just see how it goes. Now, there's a wrong side and right side to your work. And so as you knit and go along, you'll definitely see which is the right side and which is the wrong side, basically, from how you're knitting. So let me show you what I've been working on. That'll give you an idea of all the cool things you can do with knitting. This is a cowl that I'm working on that's just knit and purl. That's it. I purled and I knitted. All that is. I purled 2, I knitted 2. Purled 2, knit 2 in the round. This is going to be a cool neck warmer or a cowl that I'm working on this winter. And that's it. That's all I did. Cool ways to use your basic skills.